It's about freaking time. It's about time. Finally. It's been forever. But the New York Mets, believe it or not, and I'm still having a hard time believing it, for the first time since early June, June 12th to be exact, or I should say June 11th, because technically they won the series then. But either way, for the first time since June 11th, the Mets win a series as they beat the Milwaukee Brewers in the finale of the series by a final score of 3-2. And it's about time that I could actually talk about a win, talk about this team getting in the win column, winning a series nonetheless. Build on it, please, before I am ready to be roped back in. Because again, unfortunately, that's where we're at, where I got to get roped back in because, they win two against the Braves, and then we saw what happened against the Pirates. So please build on this going into the Yankee series. But for right now, it feels good to actually talk about this team in a positive light, to talk about a win. Let's break this thing down. Before we do, leave a like if you do enjoy, subscribe if you guys are new to the channel, and turn on your notifications so you know when we upload or go live here on Mets Central. Really good to see this team actually string together a win. And what's even better is actually seeing one of their starting pitchers give them some volume, because they have not got volume at all from a starting pitcher for the first time since this is the first time since June 17th when the Mets played the Braves. And funny enough, David Peterson was on the mound. That was the last time the Mets got six innings from a starting pitcher, which they ended up losing that game thanks to Reed Garrett. We're not going to talk about that. But it has been that long since they have got 6 innings from a starting pitcher. And Peterson almost gave them 7 today. And it freaking stinks because a couple of things go here and there a different way, like especially with the defense not helping him out in that inning where he allowed that one run. Had that not happened, we're talking about him probably going, maybe, is it crazy to say 8 innings? At the very least, he completes the 7th inning because he's not at 100 pitches and everything. But either way, it was nice to get volume, especially because this bullpen is taxed with a doubleheader, especially. And they had to call up 3 new arms today because Denzel Nunez hit the IL, which that's very concerning because he needs Tommy John now. And it makes sense why we didn't see the same guy that we saw from last year, because the stuff is there. It was just always a velocity thing, it felt like, and just losing control. And now it all makes sense. Paul Blackburn, the guy who's rarely healthy, long and behold, goes back on the IL. And then they end up getting another fresh arm. I forgot the other corresponding move on that one. I think they sent someone down to the minor leagues. Blade Tidwell, that's who it was. Blade Tidwell went back down to the minor leagues. So they had to call up 3 new arms. And I didn't want to have to see those new arms. And especially because tomorrow you really need the bulk guys on the ready, because it does not seem like you have a starter for tomorrow. So if I had to guess, and I don't know if anything has came out about it, which I'm going to look actually as I'm talking about it, about if Braziban gets the opener, because what I'd imagine is Braziban's going to get the opener tomorrow, and then they'll go to Hageman. They'll go to Hageman after that, or maybe Waddell for a bit, although I don't know if Waddell's ready because he might be a bit tired from how much he's pitched. So I'm trying to find something about tomorrow's pitching deal, which so far I don't see anything. Very strange that we don't have anything on that. Did they not speak to the media after the game? I don't know. I'll figure it out. I'll find it. But either way, let's talk about the game that happened tonight, because we could talk more about the game coming up and everything on the podcast and just later on this stream. But yeah, just some timely hits here and there, which is rare from this team as well. I still want to see more from this offense, because at the end of the day, it felt similar to the wins they were getting earlier in the year, where it was a lot of the pitching being dominant, being lights out, and the offense chipping in every now and then, but you still want to see a bit more from this team, right? Like that, especially with the offense they have, and especially against. And I know Jose Quintana's ERA and everything looks good, but if you dig deep, like the FIP and some of the numbers don't look that great. But yeah, you had a home run for Brandon Nimmo in the bottom of the second inning, who continues his hot streak. I still do not care, and I know they won, and I know that Marte had 2 hits today, but I want to see Nimmo leading off, no matter who's pitching. And good for Marte having a multi a game, one of them being an infield hit where it's like, whatever. But I want to see Brandon Nimmo hit leadoff, and he ends up hitting the home run there to make it a 1-0 game. In the fourth inning, this is where I am very annoyed with the defense. So here's the problem. Brett Beatty makes a horrible error. So Contreras walks, first of all. Churio strikes out, and then you have a horrible error from Brett Beatty where if that play's made, double play right there, or the very least one out, and then you're out of the inning in the after you get Collins out. But unfortunately, because Mendoza, I don't know why I blanked on his name for a second, because Mendoza's trying to get Mark Vientos into the lineup, which I don't understand why with the way he's playing ball right now. But with that being said, because of that, you have Brett Beatty, who has not played good at second base all season long, playing second base, and he doesn't get a pass for it. Don't get me wrong, because he still needs to make that play. Let's face it, he still has to make that grab there, or at least keep it in the infield, and he doesn't. And then Caleb Durbin ends up getting a single to tie the game up at 1. But Peterson ends up working out of it. We fast forward a little bit throughout the game, and in the bottom of the 6th inning, Marte ends up getting a hit, and then Lindor ends up getting a single as well. Juan Soto gets a single. I thought that was going to be a double play off the bat. I'm not going to lie, but it gets through to make it a 2-1 game. Alonso gets a double to make it 3-1. And then the 7th inning, Peterson gets 2 groundouts, then allows that home run and allows a single to Frelick. And then that was it. And Stanek comes in, and credit to Stanek, who he ends up getting the line out from Contreras and then gets 3 strikeouts in the 8th inning. Who would have thought throwing the splitter would help, right? On Isaac Collins, that splitter that he threw. Filthy. Who would have thought? The Mets, you thought maybe would add on in the 8th inning. They got a couple base runners. Soto had a single and Alonso had a walk. But Diaz then comes in, gets 2 strikeouts to Renz. Credit to him throwing out Yelich, trying to steal a bag. And the Mets get the job done. Just great work from the pitching staff. Peterson did scare me a bit because he was walking a few batters and a little erratic with his control every now and then. But for the most part, he was locked in, and he was the David Peterson that we saw before the previous 2 starts where it was just really bad for him. 6 runs, I think, in both of those starts. But you saw more of the David Peterson that we saw most of the season, and you need that, and they need that, especially tonight, because, again, they are not getting the volume at all from their starters. So shout out to David Peterson going out there and balling. Stanek, 3 strikeouts, not back in the circle of trust yet, but a step in the right direction at least. And then Edwin Diaz, he is just nails right now. But yeah, with the offense, I still want to see a bit more, like I brought up before, because 2 for 5 with runners in scoring position. I want to see a little more traffic on the bases. It felt like they're a little reliant on the pitching, but yeah, that's just my take there. I'm happy with the win. Happy they're finally at 50 wins. It took them way longer than it should have, but if the pitching could start to rebound, that would be huge for this team, because that was their formula to winning games earlier in the year, and we'll see. I don't know how much you're going to get, though, because the problem is now you got Peterson. If he's bouncing back, that's at least something. Montas, I don't know what you're getting. And then now you have 2 empty rotation spots on Friday and Sunday, but Sunday's only because Holmes had the pitch yesterday from that rain delay, or the postponed game rather, on Tuesday. So you have to scramble there, which absolutely sucks because again, this team is already a shot as is with the pitching staff. So we will see. We will see what happens there. But let me see what you guys are saying in the comment section. I'm trying to find if there's anything about what they're doing tomorrow. I don't think we're going to get an answer, honestly, until tomorrow. But if I had to make a guess, I think they're going to go with Brazaban to open tomorrow's game and then go to Hageman to get some bulk innings. And then they'll, work from there. Maybe Budo gets an inning, gets like 4 outs, or gets maybe 2 innings, something like that. We'll see. But that's just my prediction there. And then Sunday, there's apparently talks that maybe Sproat will get the start there. That's interesting considering he's not been the best in AAA, but I'm intrigued to see. So let's see what you guys are saying in the chat. Which, by the way, the podcast episode will be up tomorrow. We're gonna have to do that early. Stupid start times this entire series coming up against the Yankees. I don't understand what's with the 3 o'clock start time, and then you got a 4 o'clock, and then you got a 1:40 in there. Like, just 1 or 7 o'clock. Nothing annoys me more than a 4 o'clock start time because it's just stupid. Why are we starting games at 4 o'clock and then 3 o'clock? Nevertheless, why are we starting a game at 3 o'clock? That should be a night game tomorrow. I don't get that one. But either way, let me see what you guys are saying right now in the comment section. Finally, let's take care of business against those losers in the Bronx. Well, they have been losing, but we will see because, again, this rotation is absolutely shot right now going into the series, and I don't know how this series is going to go. I have no clue at all. All I know is that I am hoping that they build off the last 2 games that they played. Hope we're not being suckered in. To me, it's simple, Ray. Don't let yourself get suckered in because you could be happy about the wins. Like, right, this is how I feel. I'm happy about the wins, and I'm happy to see them starting to get back on track. But I need to see it more in order to fully be roped back in. Is kind of how I feel right now. I think that's a fair way to look at this right now. That's and if anyone disagrees, then I don't know what to tell you. Then I'm sorry that my opinion is disappointing to you. But my take just simply is I need to see more to be roped back in, but I'm glad they're starting to win again. I think that's a fair, objective look. I'm sure people could strew it as negative, but what do you want me to tell you? What are you gonna do? I got some Yankee fans in here saying that we're gonna kill them. We'll see. I don't know. I don't know. I have no clue how that series is gonna go. Both teams are not playing good ball right now, and I know the Mets just won 2 out of 3, but prior to this, I mean, they got swept by the Pirates. If I need to remind you that one, swept by the Pirates. Don't want to be a negative killjoy, but I'm sick of Vientos. I am too. I mean, he can't field. It was nice to see him actually get a hit today, but he's still not hitting enough. So I don't think it's being negative. It's fair to look at it and say it's an issue. Because when I look at the bottom of the order and I see a bunch of guys with sub 700 OPSs, yeah, I'm pretty worried too. Actually, very worried, I should say, about that. Yeah, like this is the thing. Like Marte in the bottom of the order would be fine right now, but why are we leading him off? And again, I know they won. I know he had a multi-hit game, but I just don't want to see him hit leadoff again. I don't. I know it worked for a game tonight, but it's just my opinion. But yeah, I'm trying to see right now some of the post game quotes just to see again if I could find out what's going on for tomorrow, pitching wise. Um, Mendoza said everybody in the ballpark knew how thin we were back there with Peterson going over 6 innings, and it looks like that's pretty much like the only quote from him that's got anything to it. Which it barely even does still. I don't know. But I'm gonna wrap things up here. Thank you everyone for tuning in and watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe, turn on your notifications so you know when I upload or go live, and we'll see you guys in the next one.